Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Voorheesville November 8th regular board meeting. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Cindy Monahan. I'm the board president, and I'm present here with my fellow board members, minus Mr. Kremer, who will not be joining us tonight. Okay, so for the good of the order, board discussion, fellow board members, does anyone have anything to discuss?
I wanted to mention how grateful I was to the Key Club. The Key Club hosted an outdoor Halloween trunk or treat with activities, and it was really fun for the kids and fun to see them out enjoying the day. So, and fun to see certain people in their costumes. Hopefully, folks got a glimpse.
It's awesome.
Right?
It was great, yes.
I think I offered him money to show up to work.
No, I wasn't gonna wear that again.
Wasn't gonna happen.
Any other board comments?
I had a chance to go to the cabaret on Friday, which was absolutely awesome. My mind was blown how fun it was, how cool it was. I guess it was the first event back in the pack, right? In like almost 2 years, which was super cool. And yeah, there were people wearing a mask. I didn't even notice. It was just, I don't know, it felt very normal and very, very old times. And it was super cool. So great experience.
I'll just congratulate all of our fall sports teams. I mean, we've had some tremendous results so far, and some teams, I think, cross country are continuing into sectionals, which is terrific to see.
Well,
Cross country going to state.
yeah, when I heard, so we're Class C champs, and Mariam Sahi is the Class C champion, Section 2 Class C champ, and then we're moving on to state title, November 13th.
That's awesome.
Congrats.
Any other board comments? Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to opportunity for the public to be heard. The board appreciates public comment. We do limit any comments to 3 minutes. They are timed by Jessica over here. I will start with reading 2 emails that were received. And again, we won't be conversing with you. We listen to your comments, and we invite anyone one by one to come to the podium, state your name after we complete the reading of the emails. Okay, the first one is from Marilee McCasty-Stagg. Good afternoon. I will not be able to make the meeting on Monday, but I would like to ask that something be discussed. The crosswalk at the elementary school isn't safe. This may be a Department of Transportation question, but is it possible to get a school speed limit when flashing, or a your speed is XX sign, or other signage that would work to calm traffic near the school? I recognize there is a school speed limit sign and neon crosswalk signs, but walkers and bikers are still experiencing speeding vehicles and drivers that do not stop. I appreciate you taking the time to hear my concern. Thank you. In this together. I'm thinking I'll pass that on to facility committee.
Yeah.
Rob?
So we've talked about similar things before.
Yeah, so I've already called Department of Transportation. I have the state contacted. I'm gonna call tomorrow just to see if there's anything that they can do easy for us to be able to help us with that.
Okay, and you'll report it on to facilities and then back to the board?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, the next email is from Julia Gray Bablin. And again, these emails, if we don't get through them because they're longer than 3 minutes, they are posted with the minutes, all emails sent to us. When this meeting's email is posted, any email comments will be posted with them. To whom it may concern, the intent of this manuscript is for me to express my concern over the COVID-19 mandate for student athletes at Voorheesville Central Schools. I would have loved to speak in person, but I am away on a business trip. Within this letter, I will cite much of scientific information from the CDC and FDA websites. I want to make it clear that although I am not a virologist, I am, however, a formally trained biologist, and I hold a PhD in cellular and developmental biology. My lab work has included the extensive use of research tools and multiple molecular tools, including DNA sequencing and PCR. I further want to make it known that I am not anti-vaccine. All of my 7 children have, over the years, had all the vaccines recommended by our pediatrician. It is the COVID-19 vaccines that have me particularly worried. My main concern is that my son has had COVID-19, had a positive test, and has since recovered. He therefore has natural immunity and should not need a vaccine. There are many peer-reviewed publications supporting this, and here's one such example from the respected journal Science. There is currently only one FDA-approved COVID-19 vaccine, the Pfizer one. All others are experimental, as they only have FDA emergency use authorization. Per conversation I had this morning with the Pfizer pharmacist at their medical information line, there is currently no information regarding when this branded FDA-approved vaccine will be available in New York. The CDC fact sheet for the other Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine states that they have the same formulation and can be used interchangeably. If a vaccine is FDA approved, the manufacturer of that vaccine is legally liable for subsequent adverse effects. If a vaccine has only EUA and not full FDA approval, the manufacturer is not liable for subsequent adverse effects. This is a tremendous distinction between full FDA approval and EUA. Vaccine adverse effects is a tool of the CDC and FDA. The most recent summary as of 10/29/21 shows some alarming statistics. First 2 pages are particularly important, and here are a few of the statistics. U.S. COVID-19 vaccines, December 2020 to present, less than 1 year. Adverse reactions, 634,609. Permanent disabilities, 9,580. Deaths, 8,284. U.S. all other vaccines, 19,19190 to present, over 30 years. Adverse reactions, 741,881. Is that, okay. So there's several more pages, and again, Mrs. Bavlin's comments here in her email will be posted with the meeting for anyone to review, and they were all already shared with the full board prior to this meeting for a more involved review. So thank you for everybody with the email. So we'll start with public comment. If you come to the podium, please state your name and give us your comments. Thank you.
My name is Sasu. Can you hear me better, or it's
No, you got to keep it.
okay?
Thank you.
I was called here tonight by some people in your community. I live out in Burt Hill, and I'm here tonight to represent the parents' choice to vaccinate. I am not here to give facts. I'm not here to debate the effectiveness. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not here to tell you risk versus benefit.
Can you give us your name?
Yes, my name is Monica Murray. You can find all that information out, like this gentleman is showing you. I'm here to share my story and give you my personal outlook on why people should not be pushing the vaccines as a mandate, and that people should have a choice. You probably hear in my voice that this is hard for me every time I come to a board meeting and share and advocate for all of you. Like kind of opening a whole can of things I'm still going through it. I'm a mom of a Pfizer and vaccine injured daughter. My daughter was 17 and she was going to Albany College of Pharmacy. And as you can imagine, she was absolutely enthralled with learning everything she could, and she could not wait to get her vaccine, and she could not wait to go on to Albany College of Pharmacy with a large academic scholarship. As you all know, the mandate came out for her to go to school, and who was I to hold her from what she wanted to do, her dream? And it was mandated for her to have a privilege of an education at that time. She got her vaccine on May 28th at the Ballston Spa CVS up in just past Burnt Hill. She was excited. She texted my husband, "Dad, I'm good. You can go. I feel great." He rounded the corner to say goodbye to her, and she was on the floor seizing alone by herself, unresponsive. She was taken to Saratoga Hospital, where they said, "It's a vagal response. It happens to teenagers. You're going to be fine." And there she had her next full-on seizure. And they sent her by ambulance to Albany Med, where they said, "Don't worry, you're going to be fine. There are no adverse reactions to this vaccine." I think she had 15 in the first 24 hours. The next 6 weeks, we lived in terror and fear. I was crippled in fear, honestly. I didn't know what to do. My daughter was having these convulsions, tics, tremors, brain fog, stroke-like symptoms, numbness of her legs, and there was no help. When you put a Band-Aid on this, on our kids, where we know what's best for our kids, and our choices come from our hearts, whether you choose to have it or not, you take that parent's right away, and you make kids choose things that they shouldn't have to. Rachel has siblings, and I fight for her school as well, because how am I supposed to take my 12-year-old daughter to get a vaccine after what her daughter has been through?
Okay,
And
could
just to
you-
wrap it up,
Yeah.
Rachel did speak at the Burnt Hills Board meeting on August 28th, I believe. All those videos are online. I encourage you to go read and watch what she spoke about. And
Okay.
I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your comment. Okay, may I have the next person up here that would like to make a public comment? Oh, right, please state your name, sir. 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Steve Riley, live in Voorheesville. I'm on the board at St. Matt's CYO basketball club here in Voorheesville, also coach. I have 3 kids that have been making their way through the program now for several years. And the extent that it might help in your discussions tonight or beyond, if necessary, just wanted to reiterate what we believe to be a very important topic of allowing this program to serve literally hundreds of kids this season, the way we have for decades. This year, I think alone, we have 270, pushing 280 registrants for teams, 6 of whom are named Jackson, by the way, which I think is also a first. But we are confident about how we can protect these kids to the best of our ability in gymnasium spaces, using masks, using sanitizer, social distancing, one-way travel as best we can make it when we are in gym spaces. We are doing that now in one gym space that we're using, and we really hope that we can, I guess, use the term come back and use the gym spaces for the kindergarten through 4th grade teams in particular, at the very least, there are approximately 190 kids registered in that section of the program alone. These are non-travel teams that they play on and are effectively the same group of kids who go to school here. So it's a continuation of that relationship amongst these kids, Monday through Friday on a Saturday. So with that, I'm hoping that can help influence how you discuss this further tonight and beyond. And we truly hope and are hopefully optimistic that we can find ourselves back in the gym pretty soon. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Would anyone else?
Hi, my name's Eric Wutke. I have 3 children in the elementary school, ages 5, 8, and 10. I'm also speaking in support of allowing outside organizations to resume using the district facilities. Specifically, I am advocating for the board to allow the CYO basketball program to resume use of the gymnasiums. I was happy to see that the mental health and wellness of our children is being discussed tonight as well. I cannot think of an activity that provides more benefits for physical and mental well-being than team sports, played with friends, surrounded by the caring and supportive community in which our children live. We're now 1.5 years into the COVID-19 pandemic. There's a wealth of scientific data that provides guidance on reducing the risk of exposure for everyone, as well as vaccines that are available for all school-aged children. Those vaccines reduce the already low risk of severe illness for children should they become infected. I commend the school district and this board for its Herculean effort that you've made over the past 1.5 years to keep the school open and to keep our children safe. For that, I thank you. I recognize that there's no way to eliminate the risk of exposure and infection, and the easiest decision for all of you would be to maintain the status quo. But the easiest decision would be the wrong decision in this case. I believe the right decision is to allow outside organizations back into the school district facilities on a case-by-case basis. All activities are not equal. There are many policies that can be put in place to reduce the risk of exposure. I know the district administration is well versed in these harm reduction policies because high school winter sports are about to begin. I don't see any reason why similar policies can't be instituted for outside organizations, such as the CYO basketball program. Again, I ask this board to approve use of the district facilities by outside groups, and specifically I ask that the CYO basketball program be permitted to use the gymnasiums. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening. My name is Aaron Minnick. I have 2 children in elementary school. I have an 8-year-old in 2nd grade. I have a kindergartner, and I have 1 more coming through the ranks in the next few years. So I just wanted to speak just a little bit in support of allowing the school to start opening up the facility again to outside sports or to the CYO specifically. I coach CYO and my youngest son, or my oldest son, Evan, the first year of CYO. And then he has been stripped of this now for the last 2 years. I didn't come here to debate Max. I did not come here for any of those things. We can have those for another discussion. But I'm here to advocate the school to allow CYO basketball to be played this winter in the gyms. From what I was told, this is the largest turnout that they've had. They cannot accommodate kindergarten. From what I heard now is up to 4th grade. At the Peter Young Center, they just can't have that capacity. I'm just curious on where the board came up with this decision. I don't know if you've seen reports that this virus lingers for multiple days in the school. I don't know. I do a lot of research on this, so I'm just curious. It's been over 570 days for a 14-day pause to stop the spread of a virus that does not affect children. You know, we can go over numbers all we want, but there's less than 150 kids that have died of COVID, unfortunately, which is very unfortunate, but again, those kids were all severely ill, and most kids that we see these emails that come through are not severely ill, and I don't know why we are preventing kids from actually doing physical activities with other kids. We're talking about mental health and promoting mental health now, when I feel like this is part of the problem, is that we're putting these kids in positions to where they are mentally fatigued with what's going on now, when we can go play these sports at AFRMs, the YMCA, and other facilities, but the place where I pay my taxes to will not allow me into the building with my children and do a sport that I feel is an acceptable risk. And I just don't see otherwise at this point. And I promise you guys this one thing, that there's no one in this room that cares more about my mom, my kids, my wife, my grandparents, more than me. And at this point, I think there's the easiest choice is we're gonna let the parents make choices now. If we sign permission slips that says we're not going to sue the school if we get a COVID from the school, which I don't think anyone would, considering the large participation that we have now, I think there should be a sign to the school board that says, okay, parents are ready to get back to normal. Let's hear what the CYO has to say and how we're gonna make this effective. And we really wanna put this forward for our children in the winter time, because now we're gonna go back in the winter months, and if anyone's experienced COVID, and I'm sure we all have, where does this thing spread? When we stick ourselves inside all winter and we just all huddle together. My kids need to stay active. The biggest effects from COVID is obesity and health. And now we're gonna tell our kids that we can't use the facilities anymore for basketball, something that's gonna help progress them in life and make team sports better. But again, I appreciate your time. I really do appreciate you guys doing a great job with the school district this year and keeping our kids in school. That means more to us than anything, but we still have to keep working forward and trying to loosen this up a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Would anyone else like to make any comments? Okay, again, Good evening.
Hi, I'm Jamie Tanata. I have children in high school, middle school, and elementary school, and I'm here to speak for them. I want to start by saying that I respect the parents, teachers, and board members of this community, and I respect the decisions that you make for your families. I'm only asking for you to respect mine. I am not ignorant to the fact that the choices that I make can affect people around me. I'm also not ignorant to the fact that the community will be what it will take to fight this virus. Each one of us has different health history, life experience, and even responses to those life experiences. The mandate that was put into place for the COVID vaccine to play high-risk sports was put into place based on the health history and life experience of the board members sitting in front of me. I am here as a pro-vaccine parent, and I'm not here to debate the COVID vaccine and its effectiveness. I'm here to ask for a choice. I want parents to have the right to choose if their child will be administered a vaccine that is still emergency use authorization for under 16. The current mandate is forcing me to choose to vaccinate my child against my will or have them removed from their sports teams. You may say, well, sports are optional. This is very true, but what you're not thinking of is a child who has always struggled to find their place with their peers. They finally found their home in a sports team and their little family. And after all the struggles over the past couple of years, that is the last thing they need. I agree with each one of you that we need to take precautions, as COVID is very much an ongoing threat. What I stand here and ask for is compromise. CDC has stated that similar amounts of viral genetic material have been found among unvaccinated and fully vaccinated individuals when it comes to the Delta variant. Wouldn't the safer option during high transmission rate times be to safely test the children weekly and know their status than to leave it to chance with vaccinated people potentially spreading it? A recent event in Germany is a great example of this. A man was given his choice to either show full vaccination or a negative test to board a plane. He sadly passed away on that flight and was then found in his autopsy to have COVID. If he had been tested, he would have never been able to board that plane and wouldn't have potentially exposed other people. In conclusion, I ask for you to reconsider, meet in the middle, and compromise. Hear our concerns. Let's work together to keep our children and community safe while still allowing the children to do what they love. I need you to know that as I leave here today, and if I have to vaccinate my children, it is 100% against my will. But I will do what I have to do to keep their mental health intact and them a part of this community.
Thank you for your comments. Would anyone else like to come to the podium? Okay, well, thank you everyone who did make comments. We, the board, have listened to them. Now we'll move on to the presentation on promoting social and emotional learning, mental health and wellness. Mrs. Jones and her crew, thank you.
This is a little awkward, so I don't want to stand in front of you. Good evening. Again, I'm Karen Jones, and I'm the Director of Pupil Personnel for the district. And that includes the counseling department. So we are very grateful to be able to share with you what our K-12 department has done to promote social emotional learning and also mental health and wellness. I'll introduce our team. I feel very awkward. Sorry. Kristen Huntsman is our school counselor at the elementary school. Jeannie Tingley is our school psychologist at the elementary school. Dan Bartosik is our school counselor at the middle school. We have Kendall Harding, who is our new social worker for the elementary and middle school. Marielle Chu is our social worker at the middle school, high school. We have Kristen Heidi, who is our school counselor at the high school. Tim Kelly, who is another school counselor at the high school. And Martha Kemp, who is our school psychologist at the middle school, high school. And this is our K-12 counseling department team.
So our presentation tonight talks a little bit about social emotional learning, mental health and wellness initiatives and things that we've tried to accomplish through the summer and the beginning of this year, and parts of those topics that are part of our everyday connections with kiddos. So our graphic here shows social emotional learning as a focus that targets 5 main domains. A lot of our classroom lessons, school-wide initiatives, topics, and then our graphic also shows how it's not just something that occurs at one time in a classroom setting, but it's incorporating teachers, other departments, it's within our school and our community, after school events, so that it's a collaborative effort. So the things that our students are learning from kindergarten ongoing through grade 12 as they progress through our school system.
And obviously, you know, the counseling department, mental health is a huge focus for us. And just to share, you know, a little bit more about our philosophy and our approach with the kids. Obviously, mental health covers the time. And the way we talk to the students about it is that it's more of a continuum. It's not either you have it or you don't. You know, there's lots of places you can be along the spectrum. And, you know, more recently in our depression and anxiety presentations, we definitely want kids who have been pretty steady, you know, their entire life so far to even be thoughtful. We want to reach those kids too, not just the kids who are struggling. So we ask, you know, questions to encourage thoughtfulness, like what are their values? What are their perspectives towards happiness? You know, should they have to work hard at it? Is it you're just born with it and you have it or you don't? Are they able to grow it? Or if they've been happy and resilient, you know, what helps them stay that way and how can we continue to act there? So, you know, mental health obviously covers a lot, and we just really want to make sure we're even reaching those kids who have been steady and haven't necessarily struggled, because they might at some point, you know, there's a lot that happens in a lifetime. So, you know, I think our approach is, you know, pretty comprehensive, and we just try to reach everybody.
Here are some of the ways we can
Yes, sir.
over the summer we provided school tours for students in Voorheesville, as well as
100% tech guy.
Social and emotional skills, mental
Thank
health resources, the college application process, and other school information.
I'm starting, we missed
Here are some of the ways we connected with students. Over the summer, we provided school tours for students new to Voorheesville, as well as those who were returning from virtual instruction. We also sent a sneak peek showing what we looked like with masks on, and sent parent and student surveys to help inform some of our early interventions this year. We've sent out newsletters at the elementary, middle, and high school level, which include a wide variety of information on social and emotional skills, mental health resources, the college application process, and other school information. We participate in activities that build school community and a positive school climate, like Sources for Strength, middle school student council initiatives, our elementary assemblies promoting cultural awareness, and other school activities which promote pride in Voorheesville. We encourage our students to be active participants, encouraging each other to be leaders, to believe in themselves, to understand their similarities, and to accept their differences. We've provided mental health awareness and prevention resources, including the promotion of the crisis text line at the middle school and high school level, and a suicide prevention presentation from Albany County Mental Health. Some of our time has also been spent introducing ourselves to students new to our buildings, as well as meeting with our seniors and soon-to-be Voorheesville graduates. We utilize Google Classroom as a way to deliver activities and curriculum to our students, as well as to provide information. And we also have easy access to request appointments with counselors via QR codes, which are located on posters throughout the middle school and high school buildings. Some of our curriculum has targeted self-regulation at the elementary level and helping our high school students prepare for the college application process utilizing Navion software and the Common Application.
So there are 3 tiers of mental health or wellness support for, just like there are for academic supports. Tier 1 would be available to all students. So it might include the guidance counselors going in, the school counselors going in the classrooms and providing instruction on Navions or interest inventories. Tier 2 would be small group. It might be something like our middle school counselor providing small group instruction and organizational skills. And tier 3 would be the most intensive, where we might have to make home visits or put a behavior plan in place, a greater variety of services.
So this is an example of some of the tier 1 supports that we have in all of our buildings. Progress monitoring, attendance, something like Navions, which is one of those programs in the high school that really allows the child and the counselor to get together and work on their career goals and where they might want to go to school. So this is very much first step, doesn't necessarily mean that there's a behavioral issue or a mental health issue, but just needing some intervention. And then we go to tier 2 and tier 3 when tier 1 is really not necessarily enough yet. And you could have individual group counseling, whether that's social skills or more intensive mental health work, really depending on what was the need of the child.
I mean, I can do this one. So this one.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna come over here with you. I just like sitting on this side. So, and then this slide just goes over, some of the very many topics that our team regularly deals with on a daily basis. So it's really all different things, like you're seeing, from school avoidance, trauma, mental health needs, connecting families with resources in the community, working on friendships, here, a wide variety, Okay, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about our virtual homeroom, but before I get to this, I just want to
also talk about, we have an in-person homeroom too. So this is up at the high school back in 2018. We took an office space that was not being used and we turned it into our homeroom or our quiet room. And the goal with this is that if we had a student who was struggling in the day, maybe they felt overwhelmed, anxious, they were having a moment to provide them with a safe space within our school that they could come to. The goal with our homeroom is really to help the student ideally help themselves use their own coping skills that they've learned. There's also different coping tools within the homeroom. So things like therapy, kinetic sand, fidget tools, journaling prompts. And again, trying to help the kids use their own coping skills to get them off the class. If they are able to do that, a counselor will come on into the homeroom, quiet room, try to help them work through it. And again, the real goal is for students to get right back to class as soon as they can. So last school year, we recognized, especially the high school, middle school, with our students being hybrid, only being in person every third day, there's probably a need that we need to fulfill here. So we came up with our virtual homeroom for students to access 24/7. So we really tried to replicate all of the different self-soothing tools within our in-person homeroom to our virtual homeroom. So within this Google slide here, a lot of these images are actually clickable. So you can click on the image, it'll take you out to a link to give you something to, again, help yourself get through tough times. So like if you're the kind of person that loves to look at mesmerizing things to make you happy, you can click on the lava lamp and it takes you to a 4-hour-long loop of happy lava. If you're the kind of person that you like to be humor, if you like goofy things, you can come to a video of cute and funny quirks to make you smile. If you're the kind of person that, maybe needs some help with some self-care ideas, here's a graphic to give you some help there. And we made sure to include in our virtual homeroom, of course, a link to our Google form. So if you did need to talk to one of us, you can fill this out and it'll come right to us. And we can help you. So, and I want to mention with our in-person homeroom this year too, we saw a need that some of our students were asking to have their virtual counseling appointments in school. So we decided, yeah, let's give this a go. Let's have kids come into the homeroom to have their counseling appointments. Because to keep the kids in the building, we thought that would be, a better solution as opposed to that travel time, keeping the kids here.
So typically, kids would have to leave for a counseling appointment outside of school and then come back, so they would lose class time. So instead, they're using our comm room to just set up a virtual meet with their counselor.
Yeah, okay. Dan, what'd you do? I see what you did. Well, we're at the beginning now, okay. And then lastly, just to kind of sum it up, what we've got here is our district's vision and mission statement. In the counseling department a few years ago, we also developed our own vision and mission statement to align with the district's. And before the start of every school year, our department meets and we also develop goals for that coming school year. And again, we like to align those goals with the district goals. These goals we also share with our advisory council. And our advisory council is a group of stakeholders. It's made of school counselors, administrators, staff members, parents, students, board members, and community mental health professionals. And the role of the advisory council is to help look at the goals that we have set. At the end of the year, we'll review our data, review our goals. They'll also give program recommendations and be advocates for our school counseling program. And last but not least,
Thank you very much. Do any board members have any questions?
I'll just say I'm a member of the advisory council, and I am always amazed by how much you all get done. I think you do the work of twice as many people, and I'm always very thankful.
Thank you very much.
That was a very much appreciated, very well needed presentation. Thank you to all of you for coming and engaging us tonight. It was great. Thank you. Okay,
Most of those things you get from team sports too. So.
moving on now. We got, okay, then we'll move on to superintendent's report. Mr. McCree?
One more.
All right. So before I begin, I want to also mention something that came up today that I was aware of. And it involved New York State Librarian of the Year. Many of you know Gail Brown. Gail Brown was at the NYLA, New York State Library Association. She was nominated and awarded Librarian of the Year for New York State. So, Gail does a lot for our school community. And I wanted to share that tonight with everybody. So as Jessica's trying to get the tech room presentation up, but I don't know if she can. We're having slight technical difficulties. I want to talk about the staffing update and shortage. There is a shortage going around, as everybody knows, nationally. And, we're also seeing a shortage among our district along with other districts. Some of the bigger issues that we're seeing is we're short on bus drivers, support staff, custodial workers. We're trying to do a big push right now to get more. We've been pushing a lot for our transportation staff. We are basically bare minimum right now at our transportation. We are better off than other districts that are missing like 5 or 10 people and understaffed. But we have everybody driving. We have our dispatcher driving. We have our mechanics driving. 2 people out that will shut down routes and shut down issues for us. So, we're right there. We're always looking for more. Our custodial staff, we are short 1 current member right now, and we just got a sub that you'll see tonight for sub-custodian. That's our first sub-custodian that we've been able to find. So, it's very difficult. We've been doing it the traditional way, OLAS papers. We are now doing, we actually have pull tabs that we're putting all over the place too. So if people are looking for jobs, and so we're putting them in laundromats, anywhere we can find libraries, grocery stores. So now we're just trying a different approach because we tried all the traditional ones of trying to find people. But I do want to say that it is an issue. We are working through it. But, 2 absences could create, a bigger issue with routing, could become a greater issue with our maintenance or custodial areas. We are just short. So we're trying our best, but it is something that is happening. Oh, perfect. So I want to share real quick, just as I did before. We had the update, as you know, the capital project was done. Prior to me getting here, it was board approved and voter approved. And now we get our tech rooms. So the technology rooms are the last part of this capital project to be finished. As you can see, the tech rooms haven't changed since they were built in the 1960s, I believe, in the time frame. So it's always the same. If you ever were in Mr. Calhoun's room, they actually had the stacked kind of shelf area where the kids could go up top and be on the bottom. We completely gutted this room. There were 2 rooms, 155 and 154. Now, what those rooms look like during the construction, you can see that they were completely destroyed. And this one here will show you how a wall was taken down. What they have created now are 2 clean rooms. So you have an area in one where they can do computer and all these different work, and then the other one, same idea. Then behind it is a shared workroom. It has vents for everything, all of the laser printers, and 3D printers, and everything else is all vented and clean. So the kids can actually, and staff can actually have 2 computer spaces and another space working at the same time. We also have physics that will go in there. And another thing that we built on the other side of that, which used to just be blank space, it actually is going to be a TV studio. So the TV studio has a giant green room, and we're looking for grants to be able to help support that. During it, again, we kind of were showing you some of the transition. The floors in those rooms are basically like the Garage King floors. The acrylic on the bottom that's highly durable. So it's completely done all that way with all of our drainage and everything that's happening. The lights are all LED. There is now heat and air in that room. There was not any It wasn't very well ventilated. There was definitely some heating issues in those rooms. Now those are up to code and up to spot. And this is what the rooms currently look like. They actually are a lot more cluttered right now because kids are in there and we're unpacking everything. The green room, that's where you see the multimedia space. And then the 2 classrooms. And then that one space right there, that is our work area space. So that is it. I just wanted to share that project is still being worked on. We're doing punch list stuff, but that project should be done, and we'll be able to close out the capital project shortly. Yeah. Next, vaccination update in clinic. So I sent out a survey recently regarding vaccinations. It's not to mandate vaccines for the full district. I do think a couple people reached out. They thought that the district was mandating vaccines for all grades, K through 4 and on. That's not what the survey was meant to do. The survey was meant to see how many people were interested in getting vaccines, so I could work with my pharmaceutical provider who has done our vaccine clinics here before, so they could order vaccines for us. Roughly about 350 vaccines were requested by community members at this point in time. So it's roughly half of our eligible population, ages 5 through 11. So that's about half of our student population. The provider is still waiting on the vaccines. They received the ones that they ordered just recently. They ordered some for us as well to be able to offer a clinic. It's possibly 2 weeks out for us to be able to do that. So we're hoping we can be able to offer one. It all depends on supply chains at this moment in time. If it gets closer, and when we get closer, we'll be sending out a survey out to families to have them sign up, and we'll also be looking for people to put needles in arms. So registered nurses, doctors to be able to help, and also people to be able to help volunteer their time to be able to be there to support our families and students.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I'm still on the mailing list, and you are too, for Albany County for the Medical Reserve Corps.
Yep.
They said in an email to us, they are going to be doing pods at all of the school districts, all 12 school districts in Albany County. I don't know, is that?
So this is
well, or is
exactly,
that them misspeaking?
so this is all together.
Yeah.
So this is one that we've already started. We meet with Dr. Wayland bi-weekly as school superintendents. Albany County is, they sent out a survey to work with us, but we're working through our same pharmaceutical providers that we've already done.
Mhm.
We've already set up those partnerships prior, so they're utilizing the same partnerships that we've done to be able to do exactly what we did already. But we're just gonna do it at a lower level, but it's all the same. So,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe there's one scheduled
There is on
at
Thursday.
West,
and,
already,
Yeah.
Saturday.
Saturday.
That was last Saturday.
Last
This-
Saturday.
Yeah, this Thursday in
This Thursday.
Manans
Manans,
Free School District.
Oh, yeah, Manans, that's right.
Yeah, so it's all the same providers and same people.
That's the county.
Yeah, but the county's working with the pharmacies.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, that's where they're getting the vaccines from.
Sounds like you'll be ahead of most pediatrician offices.
That's the goal,
Yeah.
just to be able to offer it to people who want to be able to get the vaccine for their kids and they're trying and they're getting frustrated that they can't. We want to be able to give opportunities. So the strategic plan, we are sending out now the goals, mission, vision. We finalized that this week with Julia, so a news story. We're sharing some of the data points that we utilized from the survey that was sent out to the community. We met, so we have a group, it's called the District Advisory Committee. It's made of parents, students, teachers, board members. There's about 19 people on this advisory group that met. And we've also been being trained by CASDA on SMART goals, and we met with our administrative team and leadership team to help train them as well. So the team now is working on goals. We defined what those goals were, some of them, and we're defining what they mean. Then it's going to the building leadership teams to start working on drafting some of the action plans based off what the board's goals are. So we're hoping, this is a slow process. We don't want to do it fast. It's a work in progress, but a strategic plan is a strong strategic plan should take at least 6 months for us to roll out and work on. And even then, it should only be for 1 to 2 years. You can have some long range goals, but really you want to create actionable items, goal set, look at data, and then be able to build off of those attainable goals. And that is all I have for updates. Any questions on those things?
Could you give a testing update, surveillance versus diagnostic?
Yeah, so surveillance testing, we finally have been able to roll out. The problem is that, you can only surveillance test the people who signed up to be surveillance tests, right? So, so if we have 400 people who have signed up for surveillance testing, we're only doing 20% based off of our plan every week. So I don't remember off the top of my head how many people that was, but I know we're trying to do 40 tests a week.
Okay.
To get it done. It's rolling out. This is the first full week that we've been able to get it. again, some of the stuff is, it's just labor intensive, making sure we get the right kids out of classroom, trying not to pull them out of classrooms when they're actually having direct instruction or content level instruction. So there's a lot of things that go into it. So far, we haven't seen any positives, which has been a good thing. Out of the surveillance testing, we have seen positives out of the diagnostic testing that we're offering for the community, but not for the surveillance.
And how the diagnostic testing is going fine?
Yeah, it's going well. There's a couple hiccups every once in a while with just the length of time, so some people, they'll be able to get the vaccine, you'll get the test, and then you'll know within 30 hours, but the majority of time, that's how it works. Unless you're me, and you want to have that test done, it actually took me two days. So 2 full days, so I was a little frustrated, but that was the one snafu that I've seen, is that one just get caught up in mailing, but they've been working quick. We get them done in the morning, we send them out by 11:30 each day. So if we test somebody at 2 o'clock, it's not going out until 11:30 the next day. So we have a window in the morning from 8 o'clock to 10:30, 11, where we test for diagnostic issues if people were symptomatic. We send out at 11, we know it gets to Quadrant in Syracuse the next day. They start testing them around 9 o'clock, and then by about 6 or 7 o'clock, the tests are coming in and people have the results. So
Awesome.
on average, it's been working pretty well.
And that's available to anybody.
Anyone who wants it in the community.
I think most parents know that, but that's a huge benefit. People are having a hard time getting tests, and it's getting really expensive for a lot of people.
It's free.
Yeah.
It was super easy.
Yeah, for how long?
Your kid gets tested,
We're
you pick
running
them up
out,
and go
yeah.
home instead
Take
of.
advantage of it like that.
Is that only for symptomatic students or across the board?
Well, surveillance testing is, we can do it, that's pooled.
Right, but the on-demand.
If somebody wants on-demand testing at any point in time, they can sign up and they can do the 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock.
But do they have to be symptomatic and out of school, or can you
Right,
get a
that's
test?
No, you can get it. You can
So
just
you get
have,
it for no reason?
you would just have to say it's not symptomatic and we would pool you.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
we went
Oh,
to
that's cool.
Yeah.
Boston this weekend.
Yeah, it's really
And
handy.
it had to be
Not a lot of
tested.
schools are doing it.
Yeah.
so.
No, we're trying to utilize the system to the best of its ability.
Yeah.
And, we're working through it. It's a little bit of a lift, but we're pretty happy that it's working out so far.
Thank you so much.
Oh, really quick, I just want to do 2 more seconds. Pool testing. It's important to notice, because someone brought this up, when they do get the results, it says presumed positive or presumed negative for pool testing. Somebody wasn't sure why that was. It's because they're pooled together. So if you have them grouped, you're presuming that all those people, after they pull them, since there was no positive, they're negative. If there was a positive, all those people would have been presumed positive, and then it would have went to reflex testing, and then they would get a reflex negative or a reflex positive to know exactly which one out of the pool was positive. So people are that's the one difference of pool testing that they're not used to. But it works so we can get them done very quickly. And that's all.
Thank you. Thank you for your updates, Frank. Okay. Next on our agenda will be a discussion among the board regarding facility use, specific to facility use requests by outside organizations. We will be listening to a recommendation regarding K-2, 3, 4 House League CYO. Mr. Sapienza did send to all of us through Frank what this would look like if we did agree among us to allow for K-2, 3 to 4 to resume play with CYO. So I will ask you, Frank, to make your recommendation regarding this, and then the board will have a discussion. Thank you.
So I met with CYO and had a conversation with them regarding what CYO is and different aspects of the program. And after the conversation, something came up that kind of stuck with me, was that the K-2 program and the 3-4 program is completely in-house. There's no travel leagues. It's not like, we're mandating vaccines for high-risk sports. They're not traveling. They're not going anywhere. The students are in district. So the K-2 is out, who they are. They would come in, work with each other, on basically skills. And then the 3-4 is a house league. They would play other teams that are same in school as Voorheesville, so it's the same student population. They're not leaving our basically pod of our community. It's basically, that's exactly what it ends up becoming. CYO would follow all the guidelines, all the basics of it. They would, do all the contact tracing that goes along with meeting the needs of our students. It's basically an intramural sport for Voorheesville students. It's an extension of the school day in the minds of like a physical education class. If we have a physical education class and they're playing basketball, it would be no different, because the kids would be grouped together. The only difference is they're not in the same class, but they are in the same school district. I recommend it. I think it's a compromise to meet the needs of our school community. And it does meet the needs of, as Steve said, I wrote down, it was 190 students that could take advantage of that issue. There is one component of it that I did want to bring up. There are some students that don't go to Voorheesville who are in St. Matt's. I believe it's a handful of students, maybe about 4 or 5, that would fall, if the board approved that, would go into the K-4 program. CYO would work with us on that to probably do something where it would be like, since they're not within our student population, they're not part of the surveillance test, and they don't have those opportunities, they would then probably go through a testing requirement, unless those students end up getting vaccinated, because then they wouldn't have to do that. But they could also set up a testing requirement for those students who are not part of the Voorheesville school community. That's the recommendation I have.
And again, in case people haven't went into it, like the amount of parent time, space time would be 25% occupancy for spectators. No concessions, masks would be more.
They would follow the same ones that we follow with our district.
Okay. Okay, so I think that, this is just specific for this group, so, how about discussion among the board? Any comments?
I have some questions
Yes, please.
before comments.
Right, when you say follow our protocols, I guess I'm not aware of what the indoor PE protocols are.
So it's the same thing that we offer in school, masks on, social distancing.
So
grouping
3
together.
feet or 6 feet? What's
3
that
feet.
mean? So how do you scrimmage if you're 3 feet apart?
They still play basketball normally within the PE class.
I don't see anything in our school plan about indoor PE. We only have outdoor PE.
So in the winter, we will have indoor PE. There
So I
will-
guess I'm just confused when you say we're gonna follow what we're doing, like I don't even know our plan.
So I'd have to look into it for our PE classes. But at this point in time, they are having some sports and they are playing some items when they are inside.
Okay, I didn't think that was along the recommendations of CDC. I thought we were supposed to be 3 feet apart, mask.
I don't think they're playing full-on basketball. I think that's where the concern that you're having is with it. But, they're playing sports, they're running around, they are doing things within their classroom during PE.
I thought they were outside.
They are, sometimes they're inside if it's raining or other issues.
So are they, how are, if third and fourth would be scrimmaging?
That would be a little bit different than our PE class currently. And I'm sorry that I misspoke
Um,
when I stated that. So they wouldn't probably completely be following our protocols. It would be more of an intramural sport.
All right, so I mean, just our protocols right now are high-risk sports are vaccinated.
Right, but we are having, we are having basketball activities ongoing now at the high school JV and things.
And they're
Varsity
vaccinated.
level. No,
At the school?
well, I mean, this is before vaccination was requested. So that was more skills development than scrimmaging. But
I was not aware.
Neither was I, actually.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
skills,
wasn't
it's
the vaccination
dribbling, it's.
requirement for high-risk sports put in place in September, so that?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying the open houses were taking place, which are skills development, they were not scrimmaging, right? Dribbling, passing, shooting, before vaccination was requested.
Before September?
No.
So
Recently,
so-
when
But they
people were
weren't playing. You're
registering.
saying they were doing skill stuff, but they weren't playing scrimmages. They weren't
No, they
doing
weren't.
one-on-one.
Without
There was
proof of
no-
vaccination,
Right,
because they're not on the team, so they're,
it's just open house, it's like an open gym,
okay,
right?
that's,
So, I mean, those types of things have been going on, I'm sure for other, I don't know about other sports, I know for basketball.
I don't know volleyball, but
I don't know what's happening with volleyball.
So I think the question just comes down to if you feel comfortable in offering or allowing students to play basketball that aren't vaccinated for the elementary students grade 5 through 11 during that time period. If that's what I'm hearing in the conversation is, I think that's a question that I think the board has to have an answer.
Well, you had said follow
Yeah.
our protocol, and our protocol is high-risk sports per the CDC, have to be vaccinated or we don't offer them. So I'm just confused when you say we're following our protocol.
So I would be recommending not to follow that recommendation for grades K through 4.
Even though the vaccine's available?
Yes,
Why?
because all the students won't be able to get the vaccine in a period of time. And it will take 1 month after they get it.
1 month? Is it 1 month?
And there is the availability, it's still, I don't think even just the availability of the vaccine would be a reasonable thing to say they'd have to be vaccinated at this point.
But this is a recommendation. The board has the right to be able to have a conversation and decision.
That's what we're doing.
And you guys can, so I'm just giving you my thought and recommendation of it.
Mhm.
And, and I think, you should have a conversation of what you feel is
That's what
appropriate.
we're doing.
Correct. Yep.
So Rob,
Yeah, I guess, I mean, if you follow the thread of me for the past couple of meetings, I've been trying to find a way in my head to make something like this happen. It does, look, I liked your example of PE class, but I guess I have a question, I guess, around what those protocols are that you're following if we don't really have our protocols yet.
Well, there are
I'm
probably
leaning very much in
protocols.
favor of it. I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page if we allow it, and that it's not like, it feels a little bit nebulous right now around what the plan is for CYO to follow. And maybe I'm sure there is a plan. I just don't know what it is.
I think the
Well,
point,
let's not-
hold on, Jen.
wait,
I
this
think
is-
the point, though, is that these are the same kids who eat lunch together, who sit next to each other in a classroom, right? They're together all day long anyway. That is going to extend to maybe a weeknight practice and a Saturday morning game that's about 45 minutes, right? So these kids are together all the time anyway. And I think, like I said in the last meeting, we can conduct these activities safely. We have a record number of registrants this year. There's demand from the community for people to get their kids out and active and engaging with their peers in some setting that is other than, sitting in a classroom. And I think the need is there. I will be voting tonight. I just abstained the last time around because it was a much broader issue that was on the table. But I'm still on the CYO board. I don't have a child in this age group. I actually don't have any children who are doing CYO at this point. And I'm completely supportive of the recommendation. I'm supportive of even broadening it beyond that. I realize that's not consistent with the CDC protocols, but as a board, we can make decisions that are local, that impact our community, that are not the CDC's, recommendation. And I think we should do it.
Okay. Let's keep this, we still need to
To
have.
be clear, I agree. I'm also in support of the recommendation. I'm not trying to sound like I'm not, but with the caveat that, look, before anything's signed, like, everybody has to be on the same page about what those protocols are. My suggestion would be, look, traditionally, we run the CYO contract stuff through facilities committee for discussion. We have a facilities committee meeting coming up, and it was supposed to be tomorrow. It's getting kicked down the road by a day or two, but look, I would happily vote yes for this. Again, contingent upon agreement being reached with what comes out of facilities committee on, it's just hard to write a blank check and say yes to something when I haven't seen what's, how it's gonna operate.
Yeah, but I think,
Just being honest, I haven't.
I think Joe Sapienza's protocols, though,
Yes.
address
I'm
how the program would operate. And
That's-
for the,
Sure, again, just haven't seen it, is all.
Yeah,
So-
it's in our news and notes, and that's what I started this conversation with, was that our athletic director, who, gave us the actual protocols about mass, no concessions, 25% occupancy, so you can't have every extended family member in there, and wherever the venue would be, 25%,
It's still 100
occupancy.
people. If
Pardon
it's in the gym at the elementary school, it's still 100 people.
No, it would be far fewer.
Yeah, but the maximum would be 25%.
Because the gym space is used by the players, the others,
So it'd
one
be the
side of the gym, it's the balcony area, and then usually there might be one row of seats along the doors side, the exit doors side. And you could set up the chairs so that they're spaced, socially distant, limits everyone to, whatever the capacity limits are, consistent with 25% of that space. CYO, I can't speak on behalf of CYO in this meeting, but from what I know, they're very eager to get the program going and will comply with whatever the limitations are, as long as they can have a program.
And I think
Yeah,
what
so-
Tricia, they're asking what.
I don't really appreciate the applause only because I wasn't saying I was against it. I was just trying to understand what it was. So I don't necessarily appreciate that.
I know, and I think everybody's in support of our kids. I
Of
think
course,
that's,
I want to
we
have
all are.
activities, and I want to, my main
Yeah.
goal is in-person learning,
Yeah.
and as many activities as we can do safely, and I'm just trying to understand the parameters of this.
Which is,
Patricia, I don't actually have all the parameters worked
Exactly,
out.
so I don't know how we,
Because that's why I was gonna wait for facilities.
putting us in an
to make a
unfair
decision.
position to say yes or no when we don't even know what it is.
no,
That's all, and I'm just a little bit frustrated.
no, I'm sorry, don't feel frustrated, because I think, if people just, it's not like people are saying yes or no, everybody just has more questions, and I think if we
No,
could table it onto facilities that's meeting this
I don't know,
week.
as I even say table, like I would, look, I would happily approve it with the, again, expectation that we are giving Frank and or Joe the ability to negotiate in good faith with CYO, the appropriate protocols and procedures, which will be run through facilities, and we all, and then
Well,
we're on
that's
the
what,
same page.
that's what I,
I mean, to me, that sounds, reasonable, and, yeah, I don't know, I mean.
You just need some more thinking.
So I'd say, yeah, let's do it, but we just gotta, there's a couple i's to be dotted and t's to be crossed on the way through before it can start.
I think we need more understanding, like, I don't want to sign a contract I don't think anyone should sign a contract without reading it. And I would love to see 200 kids playing and experiencing extracurricular activities and being active with their friends and making new friends, because they get podded so much that they lose the ability to see kids outside of their pod sometimes, their classroom group. It would be important, though, to understand, how scrimmaging would work and how mask wearing would be maintained, because that was a problem when the high school kids were playing basketball, as evidenced in photos that are easily seen online. If vaccines are not mandated and we are changing our restrictions on outdoor use, we should be very cognizant of the fact that we have just changed our policy, which is a living document, and it's a good thing that it's a living document, because we're constantly getting new information. Frank's been drinking from a fire hose for 2 years, almost 2 years now, and we all have been soaked by it, but we still have to be aware that if we open it to CYO, we need to understand what that means as far as another request that might come down the road. And we want to be very, very careful in making any changes to policy that has so far kept our kids in school. And not every place gets to say that they can keep all their kids in school, and we have been. So it would be, to me, very important to make sure that whatever we decide, if we put 200 kids together, not all together, and I'm not suggesting that would, but I'm just saying, if we're putting kids in another forum where their basketball has more contact than a classroom, you're sitting at a desk in a classroom, you're sitting farther apart, and you're breathing more heavily, theoretically. So if we're putting kids at that position, and in something that we have on record acknowledged that is being deemed a high-risk sport and has certain protocols, we need to be very careful how we address those. I think it's easy to get tired. I'm tired of reminding my kid to put on a mask before she goes to school and making sure there's always one in wherever I'm going. Like, we're all tired, but it's not gonna go away until we're really, truly all taking care of what we need to, and this is one of those things.
So I have one more quick question of clarification, and it's more for what we're doing here right now. Like, what exactly, I guess, are we voting on? Because it feels like maybe it shouldn't be, we're voting on allowing CYO to use the space. Maybe, is it more, Frank, that we're allowing you and the administration the flexibility to allow additional indoor use of facilities as you see?
No.
I think the conversation was, honestly, for me, is I want to know if it was worth it for me to say, yep, I can work on this a little bit more and have an understanding of where it is, or no, I can't. Frank, it's not worth it to do this. We're not going to change our policy. Because, I'm not going to put a lot of effort into changing something if it's going to be, no, as a board, we feel very confident and comfortable in the decision we made. We're not going to change that. But if you guys are feeling comfortable that we can look into the K-4 and have that conversation, my goal was to then bring it to facilities, which was supposed to be tomorrow, it has to be canceled, to really hash it out. The one thing I would like to understand is, Rachel, you made a few good points, is like, what are the, just a few, sorry. I didn't mean it
It's
like
a
that.
miracle, mark the day.
I didn't read it like that, but like you said, like scrimmages, like how would scrimmages work? How would mask wearing work? I think understanding some of the board's broader concerns, like Tricia, you were talking about, how would it be like close up 3 feet or not 3 feet? I think those are the specific things that we need to be able to focus on, so we can say, will it work or will it not work?
Yeah, it's very easy to visualize skill building.
Mm.
And I can easily see how that can happen in a safe way.
So the K2 is skill
That's
building.
very easy to
I'm like,
visualize.
K2
Okay.
I could see easily, but
So-
3, 4, how do you?
When you get to
scrimmage?
the scrimmage, that's where my confusion.
So can I break it?
It's what
Can
you
we-
would,
We can
well, I mean,
break.
it's just on the scrimmaging point, it's what you would envision a basketball scrimmage is. It's 2 teams, they line
Right,
up.
and that's not allowed
And-
under our plan right now, so that's my confusion, RJ.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, that's where the challenge lies in my mind.
So we could theoretically, vote on K2 tonight and implement, because that's skill building only, and then get the rest of your questions.
Or
more
K4 could be, I'd vote on K4's
Just to do
skill
skill,
building.
but I don't think that's
I don't think
what
that's how
they do.
CYA has.
That's not really what it is.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was partially about having people
But that's
together
not- yeah.
and practice.
But then you were changing the whole,
Okay.
yeah, I think we should, I think that, there's some good questions, and I think that everybody's like in favor of making things happen for the kids, but the clarification to make it comfortable to vote on the scrimmaging itself is what we need more information.
And should we do like a little straw poll on each of them, or are we looking to vote, or are we? I'm personally in favor of both, certainly strongly in favor of the K1 too, but
Well, that's what I was saying, but we could definitely break it up if people are comfortable to vote on the K2 tonight and ask for more clarification on the questions that Rachel and Tricia specifically had that are very good questions for clarification of the protocols.
I mean, I think the protocols can be defined. CYOs, in my estimation, and any other program that's gonna ask for similar facilities use, is gonna follow whatever protocols the district puts in place.
Right, and I think we're looking for what those protocols are, is what.
Well, that's what I thought Joe Sapienza's email was those protocols.
I think they were an overview of,
They're pretty broad.
they're pretty wide. They want a little more
There was no
specific.
protocols as to our indoor PE. We don't even have it in our plan. But how can I compare it to what our protocols are when I don't know our protocols?
No, I don't.
So I do believe we have our PE program has protocols that they follow. I just don't know them off the top of my head because
Well,
I'm
it's
not.
not in the
Right.
COVID plan
Yeah.
on our website. All there is PE outdoors. And then high-risk activities. So this would then, I guess, fall under high risk.
We're kind of changing two basis
I mean, you don't want to do one thing and then trigger an avalanche of unexpected other things. That's my concern. Of course, I'm pro trying to figure out something to help all these kids, definitely. Why I'm here.
So, I don't, where does it say in here that we're following the school's protocols?
Following the school's protocols to do basketball would involve getting vaccinated, because right now.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying in the draft that Mr. Sapienza put together, it doesn't say that.
Well, Frank said it when he presented it and recommended it. That's where I got it.
I mean, I think that these mimic the school protocols. So we can find out and look into it deeper and have an understanding at the facilities committee and kind of like hash it out. Because we haven't really hashed out. Joe worked on it based off of what was done in the previous year. So again, we didn't, say this is exactly what it was going to be because I wasn't sure how the board would want to go forward with it.
Could you invite him to the facility?
He is already invited. So
Okay.
the plan was honestly for us tomorrow to have the conversation.
Yeah, again, I'm in support of moving it all forward. We need to work out what goes into the contract. I'm okay with, trusting that we work out what goes in the contract, because no contract, I don't know, I guess it feels a bit heavy-handed maybe as a board for us to dictate every, line item going into.
I don't think that's
facilities,
what their concern, their questions are
Okay.
about at all, person I don't think that at all.
So we wait?
Well, I'm in favor of put that out there.
Rachel?
I'd like to understand more about changing the district guidelines and how that would work.
Are you
Mainly for
comfortable
the
voting
board.
on K2?
I'm absolutely comfortable with K2 coming in,
Jim?
even though that's a change.
Yeah, you gotta do some more thinking.
The younger kids, though, you're comfortable on voting on them?
Yes.
Chris?
I'm fine with K2, thank you.
Rob?
I'm fine with K2 or Frank's initial recommendation.
And what are you comfortable recommending at this point? after
So
hearing
based
all
off,
of this?
so what I'm looking at is K2, but still going through what the specifics are. I think, the conversation has to be at facilities of what K2 looks like, and then working with CYO to have an understanding of that, to make sure that everybody's on the same page. So answering the questions and making sure there's clarity. 3, 4, I don't think it's time for us to have we have to work with the facilities to really hash it out more. There's too much to unpack from this conversation, so I think we wait on the 3, 4, have a conversation with facilities, and then based off of facilities, then maybe have another meeting afterwards.
Yeah, we're always up, I mean, we don't have to wait till December.
So we don't have to wait
6th.
till the December meeting.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that sound fair to you, Chris?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Okay, so then, can I have a motion to, for K2 CYO to, resume per Frank's recommendation?
I'll move that.
Have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then we'll look forward to, again, after more clarification, again, if we are to move forward with 3, 4, we don't have to wait till the December meeting, we can always call a special meeting with the forum.
And can we just have a quick conversation for facilities? Can we do that on Wednesday? Just because we have to reschedule from tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, about when?
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh, can you meet on Wednesday, Chris?
At the same time?
Yeah.
Hang on, real
That would
time.
work for everybody.
Jim, are you
Wednesday,
available
what
for
time?
facilities?
4:30?
Wednesday at 4, instead of tomorrow. Instead of tomorrow.
Wednesday at 4.
I don't have a
No,
policy
we don't.
committee
On the 10th.
we don't.
We can't, that can't be right.
Yeah.
We officially don't.
All right, so I can set that up tomorrow. I can set it up
Jim's
tomorrow.
good, Trish. is
Wednesday at
good,
4.
so-
All right, so we'll add this and we'll add the other stuff. Perfect.
Thank you, everybody, for your input. Okay, moving on, 4.1, can I have a motion to move minutes of regular meeting?
Move it.
I saw one typo.
Oh,
Oh, do I wait until we move it?
no, go ahead, you can tell Jeff.
It's not a big deal, Jeff, but, for the good of the order, there was a thing about Rachel thanking the fire department and BCSF for Bike Day. it's not a big deal, but I think it was really for the firehouse event, right? Because
Yeah.
they don't put on bike day.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well,
It's
okay.
not, I just so
Yeah.
it's right in the record. I don't want us, DCS have taken credit for something we didn't do.
Okay, so now can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. That's, okay, I'm gonna group 5.1 through 5.4, but I'd like to pull out of 5.2 personal items, recognition of William Reeves, retirement 15 years. And then Mrs. Robin Birch, 19 years of service as a district treasurer.
A small clarification, as of March 31st, it'll be 19 years and 9 months.
Oh, that's great. And I can tell you, in 12 years of being on the school board, I've worked hand in hand with you through audit, and you're certainly gonna be missed there, and so thank you so very much for
Thank
all
you
of
for
your
the
years.
opportunity.
Thank you.
Cindy, may I say one thing about Robin?
You sure?
So I just want to, look, I'm sorry, but Robin, I came in here December 16, 2019. We went through a flood, which dealt with tons of insurance issues. Robin was the rock that held us together, that kept us not having to pay any out of pocket. I lost our business administrator. Robin took on the duties of that along with treasurer for a long period of time during one of the more difficult times through COVID. So Robin doesn't let on how good she is and how strong she is. So she will be missed. But I just wanted to say publicly, I couldn't have done what we did over the past 2 years without Robin.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll have fun on the bench watching your grandchildren. Good for you. Okay, so now can I have a motion, to move 5.1 to 5.4, please?
I'll move it.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
So can I just ask a question on coaching appointments? So we
Absolutely.
don't have a girls' modified basketball coach, will we make an appointment later if a team comes together?
We're looking at trying to still get a coach at this moment in time.
Okay.
Yep.
Still recruiting.
Yeah, we're still recruiting a coach and we're still doing interviews, but it hasn't been finalized, so.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, and then, okay, so moving on to old business, 6.1, audit committee.
We did not meet. Our next meeting is before the December board meeting.
Okay, thank you, Audrey. Would you like to start at 6 or?
Sure.
Okay, so 6 PM, everyone please. Okay, curriculum committee, Mr. Kremer is not here tonight. I don't know, did you meet? Okay, no,
Did not.
okay. All right, facilities committee, Mr. Sampson?
All right, I'll try to keep it brief because the time change has me getting tired earlier than usual.
Yeah.
Right now it's really 9:30. All right, so we revisited once again, as we will every month, I'm sure again on Wednesday, our potential elementary school transportation project. Talked a little bit about potential taxpayer impact stuff. We talked about having a presentation coming up soon, maybe next month-ish. No.
Well, now that there's a new opportunity.
Oh, now okay, sure, this is, late breaking news, we haven't talked about that at facilities yet, we'll get it in the next minute, so there may be other options. So,
Okay.
presentation will come when presentation is ready. We had an update on roofs at the elementary school, surveyed by Mosaic, there were some minor repair needs, long-term plans are 120K and 15K consecutively, it should be 150. And some of the roofs need replacement and repairs in the current bus garage. There's some major high school roof repairs that need to be done in 10 years. We're sort of looking at some out-year stuff. Lead water faucets, 10 of the faucets that need to be replaced have been taken care of by the Science and Tech Room project. There's 5 more in other areas of high school that have been replaced by maintenance crews.
Again, those are non-potable, I just want to state.
Nobody's drinking from them.
Yeah, these are non-potable, we're just.
And they're all labeled.
Being safe and just replacing them.
Radon mitigation, we ran more tests in April. It showed only 2 rooms that are not in compliance. They were right at the edge. One was exactly at level 4, the other one was at 4.4. One that was at 4.4 actually had 2 test kits in the room. One of them passed, the other one didn't. So it's, we're gonna do a retest on that one. We are gonna look to do some passive mitigation in summertime. Field fertilization plan, we've scheduled a new comprehensive soil testing. I think this is, we got somebody to look at that. Is that right? Yeah, through, we have a soil expert up there. For those that don't know. Of our
We should
fields,
talk
we
more
will
about
have a fertilization, overseeding, and irrigation plan. A professional survey was scheduled to begin, I guess, about a month ago. This is for the lock and key system, one's proprietary, so you can't make copies. What did that get? Oh, we'll talk about it tomorrow if that got, or Wednesday if that got.
Jim and I both rolled our eyes at the same time, so.
We have weird keys is what it comes down to. We can't really make copies and it takes, it's a big pain in the butt to do so.
What's a
It's weird.
Schlage core system?
Schlage is
It's a brand.
yeah, that's a lock-in manufacturer, right? Schlage, yeah.
Sorry, thank you.
So we're looking at expanding some phase 3 capital project stuff, considering LED lights up the hallways and the pool area. The softball fields look good, and we're kind of getting a decent quote for some filler. Scoreboard over at the satellite fields, a contractor had come in for a quote. I guess we'll figure out on Wednesday where all that stands. And we began kicking off some upcoming budgetary discussions for 22-23. Some of that may or probably has changed since the possible outlook for the big project that we may be looking at changes. Facility use discussion we talked about tonight. And what is this? Trisha, some light speed stuff, but that's not quite facilities, but I think we got addressed.
With technology.
Technology,
We
yeah.
do technology and facilities.
So, I had some clarification on whether it was on school devices or like things like phones. It's not on phones. It's only on browsers that are signed into school bookings. So, and then the meeting was adjourned, and that's it.
There you go.
It was still long. I tried talking fast.
We have new facilities.
Oh, we did. Yep. And you know what? I should have picked up on that because updates. Bill Sadowski reported,
That's exciting.
and he seems like he's working out. So that's awesome.
Good.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, now, thank you, Rob. And then, moving on to policy, Rachel, Chair?
Just that light speed clarification, the letter came out today and it was very clarifying. I thank whoever it was, the tech committee, and for putting that together, made me understand things a lot more. Policy committee, our actions are pretty much 7.1 through 7.6. Archie and I reviewed a ton of policies. Unfortunately, you had to miss out on one of the more productive meetings. We have, was it 4 for review, 4 revisions, 5 for revisions, and 1 for a first read. So we're going to be going through those 5420 having to do with student health, and 1900, Karen came and talked to us about the involvement in that. That's something that gets reviewed by the community each year, the parent, guardian, and family involvement policy. We were able to change it to parent, guardian to reflect the fact that all children's rooms are not parents, they're guardians. Library materials selection policy, Frank had gone to the librarians, the school librarians, so we were able to incorporate their advice into the revisions that came up. And a lot of these revisions came up because NISBA sent us policies. Policy 2342, agenda preparation policy, came out of an awareness that the new governor signed an order, and materials for a board meeting will be released at least 24 hours prior to that meeting. So because we're subject to open meeting law, that information will be available the night before, and Jess was part of the meeting and shared the ability, the technology, and feasibility of doing that, so that was great. 9700 is professional learning policy. That, I always thought of that as professional development, but language changing in the law made the policy changing necessary. And finally, we're premiering the student ex officio policy 2245, which we had reviewed at a previous meeting, and we re-reviewed it to make sure it seemed ready to go. This comes out of a conversation about the idea of maybe having a student sit on the board, but not be a voting member and not participate in any executive session, but it's an opportunity for a student in very large part to be a part of the civic process. And there's policy that would go along with that. And so we went through that one more time to get it ready to go. So those are basically on the agenda items 7.1 to 7.6. And that was a massive accomplishment going out.
Wow.
Yeah,
So-
I'll just, one note on agenda preparation policy, Rachel mentioned the governor's executive order. The intent of that is to try and make materials for public meetings available at least 24 hours prior to the meeting. But there's also a recognition that that may not happen in all circumstances, and it's aspirational as much as it is in order.
So the language, if practicable, I think was part of that. So it's a goal, it's, aim for the star, what is it, aim for the stars, you'll hit the moon, or aim for the, something like that. So that was policy, and there we have it.
Well, a lot of work. Thank you very much. And thanks for the explanation of that, because now we can move on. What was that?
Nothing, I was there.
Okay,
Sorry.
so that means 7.1 through 7.5 are up for a vote. Thank you for the explanation on those, Rachel. So can I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I did notice in 7.5, there were still a few more developments that didn't get switched to learning.
Oh.
If you wanted to take a find and replace near the end.
And then this will, the
Thank
seven, yeah, thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
7.6, was the first read, so we'll vote on that next time around.
Yes. And if anyone has any questions or anything, please share them with us for future discussion, if you don't have them now, if you have them now.
Yeah, so I'll just say the model policy gave options for how a district could implement the policy. So in discussion with Frank, I think, based on the conversation in our last meeting,
Yeah.
we made tweaks to remove the options that we were not going to adopt.
Right, it's like have the high school principal select this person, have this person be elected, so on. So we chose the one that we felt was most appropriate, and then this moved forward. Right, and then the community would decide if this is something that the community actually wants to have happen. And then it would move forward for July 1st. So the student would be selected from the senior class and begin participating in August or so of 2022, if the community decides that this is. There it goes.
Okay. Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, so now can we move, let's group 7.7 through 7.9. Can I have a motion to move those?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Opportunity for the board to be heard?
I'll just say on the tax warrant adjustment, we actually have reduced our tax warrant.
Yay.
So, doesn't happen very often.
Generally said.
Good news.
Yeah, thank people for coming out and expressing themselves and doing so politely and respectfully of just the general community, but generally for just sharing their views. And it was really helpful in my mind to hear from everyone, even though it's a late night, not everyone was able to stay. But thank you.
Okay, and I would like to wish my fellow board members, Mr. McCray, and the community a very happy and healthy Thanksgiving. It's been, a year I think though to be very grateful for. I mean, we're into almost to the Thanksgiving and kids are still in school, and that's very, very wonderful to hear. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, dates to remember. Our next meeting will be December 6th. We'll start at 6 o'clock with audit committee. And if we, if there is any recommendations from facilities that we would have a special meeting, just let us know and we can meet before then to vote. Okay? All right, so can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, have a good evening, everyone.
Bedtime.